Welcome to the premiere edition of Visions of Innovation, the brand new video series from eSchool News TV. Watch this show and you'll meet some of the field's most fascinating EdTech visionaries, the people working today to shape the education and technology you'll use tomorrow. It's exceedingly appropriate that we begin this video series with two innovators acclaimed in knowledgeable circles as visionaries of visual learning. Our guests today are Andrew Schlessinger, CEO of Library Video Company, and Tim Beekman, President, Safari Video Networks, a division of Library Video Company. Together, they are transforming the way schools and teachers deliver visual content, and more importantly, the way students acquire knowledge and enhance their achievement. What shall we expect in terms of innovation from the two of you during the remainder of 2007?
We've got a lot going on in research and development right now, and the vision for Safari Montage has always been that we want to make visual technology as simple as possible for the educator, for the district to implement through a single user interface and to accomplish everything that they may need to accomplish utilizing video technology. Some of the things that we are going to be launching probably this June at NEC are Safari Montage Live, a new video conferencing solution that does not involve all kinds of hardware in conference rooms and so forth. In fact, there's really only one server at a district level and mics and cameras at your desktops, and utilizing video conferencing in a very low bandwidth method and doing so very cost effectively. So I mean, that's a very exciting new product. A second and probably more important new product that we'll be releasing is Safari Montage Edcast Network. Safari Montage Edcast Network sits above WAN Manager and enables school districts to communicate with one another and to deliver and transfer video from district to district, or from regional media center to district, or from state Department of Education down to regional media center, or directly to a district. So it's a YouTube, if you will, but in a very controlled private network that is geared specifically towards education. So if you had a museum in a state that was creating great video resources, in the past, those video resources really weren't reaching the schools in the state unless the schools actually went to the museum. Now, the museums can contribute content to the network. Publicly funded institutions can contribute content to the network, edcast that, if you will, into subscribing schools and receive that content. So you're going to see some very interesting new products from us shortly.
One of the things I'd like to pick up on is the way that school districts can use their own content as part of your system. I'm thinking the superintendent's, welcome back to school, the high school football game, that sort of thing. How are schools using that?
I think the big thing is in Safari Montage content creation, the idea is that I can create content at different levels and still manage it, still do the digital rights management, still decide when they can view it, what level people can view it, so forth and so on. So it's not just about creating it, it's about managing it. What we see schools doing is already what you mentioned. They're using it for school news, they're using it for the football games. But another, and probably the most use we see, is basically professional development areas of reinforcing instruction. As we talked about earlier, there's other material that you're tying into this, not just the visual piece. So when we're trying other material to it, they're creating segments, they're creating videos with material that supports their instructional areas. So we see all of above. We see that that's a big piece of where video's going.
Yeah, exactly. Safari Montage Live is really designed for distance education, and so that you can have a teacher across the country or an expert of any sort teaching a class from across the country, and it's fully integrated with Safari Montage so that with permission you can record that transmission through Creation Station, upload that and have that available on demand to any student in the district following that initial airing. So what's so exciting about Safari Montage Live is the integration of the district-created content in that regard. But there's so many ways that districts are creating content. They're creating it through their educational television stations, creating it with their professional development staff, and then simply uploading that through the Creation Station software. And as Tim was saying, Creation Station enables them to determine whether they want that content to be downloaded to the teacher's desktop or not. It determines whether there is an expiration for that content, whether only teachers should have access to it, and to do full meta tagging of that content. And that's critical because once it goes on the Montage system, you want to be able to search everything from one interface. So they're using the same interface that we use when we create chaptering and subjects, and are able to segment an entire video so that they can access it later utilizing any keyword search.
Taking the long view, Andrew, I wonder if you could sort of think about the ultimate mission for education of Safari Montage and the Library Video Company.
Well, earlier you asked me about, what first attracted me to this, and I'd say that there were probably two inflection points in the timeline of utilization of video in education. One was the mid-'80s with the advent of the VCR. The second is now. And the reason this point in time is so significant is the accessibility of vast libraries segmented in ways that make the content so easy to utilize. We think to fully integrate Safari Montage content with the curriculum is the major next step here. So the districts and other content providers are integrating what they have to, through playlists and multimedia lesson plans, to make a seamless experience for the teacher. So when they stand in front of their electronic whiteboard or projected image, they can focus on the class and not the technology. They can focus on whether the students are grasping what they're teaching and not worry about tinkering with technology. And that, to me, is our job. And then what Tim and I constantly work on is how do you make this as easy as possible for the educator.
Andrew and Tim, you've given us a new understanding of the potential power of visual learning and video on demand. Thanks so much for being our guests on this premiere edition of Visions of Innovation. And thank you for watching. Please join us right back here for the next edition of Visions of Innovation. For eSchool News TV, I'm Gregg Downey.